What's up? Happy Friday. Today is the first day of October. Happy birthday to Rev Melissa. Give her a shout out. If you know her, hit her up on social media. So today is the first day of October. This is season 2, episode 5 of the Be Your Own Hero show. Hero is an acronym. It means helping everyone reaps optimism. In other words, it's a reciprocal action. I'm your host. I'm sekouwrites. I'm a professional creative. That means I do a lot of different things. I'm also the founder, creator of Hero Gear Ministry, which is my effort to provide the unhoused with brand new clothes and wearable affirmations like this one right here. All right, so disclaimer, I am not a certified personal trainer, nor am I a licensed financial advisor, so take what I say with a grain of salt. Do your own research. Just know that I'm sharing with you the things that have worked for me and often the things that have not worked for me. All right, so shout out to New Thought Media Network for allowing me this space to be here and talk about my journey of becoming my own financial hero. There's the website, ntmedia.org. You can check out the other programming on the network, and you can also make a donation. So right after this show at 10:15 is prayer time, and then right after that is Sit with Rev Melissa, which you know I produce if you've been watching the show. All right, so that's what we got. Check me out Monday through Friday. If you're new here, check me out Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern for the Be Your Own Hero show. So this was my first week, my first entire week of talking about money. Wow. This is the first time I've done that. So please let me know in the comments how it's working out for you. It's definitely working out for me. It's very interesting. So if it's working for you, let me know and we'll keep it going. We've been talking about money in a number of different ways and keeping a spiritual perspective about it, I hope. So all that said, I'm going to jump into that first. I'm still playing with the order for season 2. Still playing with the order of how things are structured. But let's jump right into that. So I'm going to start with the Bob Proctor quote, which hopefully everyone has memorized by now. But if not, write it down. Keep it with you. I want this to be something that we remember throughout the day, myself included. I started listening to it early this morning, and so here it is again. I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. Now, I hope you were reading that with me. I hope you're not just listening to me say it. Read it with me. Also, emphasize it. Make it an incantation, not an affirmation. Adding the feeling tone, the emotion is what helps set it into your subconscious. Okay, so we've got some smart people in the mix. I'm continuing to get feedback about what I said about smart people the other day. So I'm going to add this little tidbit. The reason why C students, D students, and dropouts tend, not in all cases, but tend to do better than smart students is because they have built up a resistance to failure. That's pretty deep, right? So a straight A student, they get a B, and they're like, oh, what's going on, right? They freak out. But a student who's a straight D student, they get F, and like, nah. So they get immune to failure early on, and that serves them well in the stock market, and it serves them well trying to build a business, trying to become a millionaire, because there are a lot of failures that you have to overcome. So what happens is smart people don't want to enter the fray because they're worried about failing, about not doing well. Meanwhile, the dropouts are like, let's go. And they just keep pushing past the excuses, keep pushing past the failures, I should say. All right, enough about that. Let's do a summary of this week. So this week, I've been talking about the goal. And the goal that I have set for this class is to create a basic, reliable stock portfolio. I've been watching a lot of other financial advisors. And again, I'm not a licensed financial advisor. But what they always say is when they're asked what to do, they always say, well, it depends on what your goals are, where you're at. Like there's this fuzzy answer. And I know it's true. It does depend upon what your goals are and your risk tolerances are and all that. But for me, I find that too vague and fuzzy. I need specifics about how to get started. Because if you've been investing, or if you've even been looking in any of the places that we've talked about this far, you see how vast it is. It's vast, it's endless. So here is my specific advice. Again, do your own homework, consult with a financial advisor, but this is what I would suggest. If you're trying to get involved from the beginning, let me see. I would suggest opening a brokerage account, first of all. Remember that it requires zero balance. Zero balance. You don't have to fund it with anything. You can open a brokerage account with zero money. That's number one. Open a brokerage account that offers DRIP and also offers fractional shares. So we know of a few thus far. We know of Robinhood, we know of Fidelity, and we know of Charles Schwab, right? So those offer DRIP and they offer fractional shares. Fractional shares means you can buy a piece of a stock. You don't have to buy the whole thing. DRIP means it will automatically reinvest the dividends back into the stock if you sign up for it. That's another trick. That's another trick. When you open the brokerage account, DRIP is toggled off by default. So you have to find it and toggle it on. And even if you open another account with the same brokerage, it's toggled off again in the new account. So watch that. Make sure your DRIP is on. Once you do that, I would suggest connecting your checking account to your brokerage account, and this automatically transferring 10% of your income over. 10% over all the time, automatic. Once it gets there, I would split it half and half. I would put 50% into the S&P 500 and 50% into the cash balance. The same thing over and over, 10% and then 50%. 10% over, then 50% both ways. Why? Because the S&P 500 is about as stable and as solid as you can get. I'll run the characteristics again in a second. And I know you're wondering why the cash balance. Well, two reasons. One, because in a brokerage account, your cash balance collects interest, just like a savings account. What? So there's that. And then two, you need to be able to move when you want to move. Now, let me give you an example. Someone gave me a stock tip that I thought was a good tip. It turned out not to be, but I was trying to move quickly. And so I tried to transfer money from my bank account into the brokerage house. Well, that takes 2 to 3 days. So by the time the money transferred over, it was all a wash anyway. So you don't want to have to do that. You don't want to have to try to transfer money to do something. When you want to do something in your brokerage account, when you want to buy something, you need to have money there. So I would say start early with the habit of putting some into the stock and some into the cash balance. So it's there, collecting interest and ready to move, ready to be used when you're ready to move. Okay, so S&P 500. Actually, before I do the S&P 500 again, the final step I would suggest after doing 10% over, 50% to the cash balance and 50% to the S&P 500, the last thing I would suggest is look at your brokerage account every day. Every day, even though you don't need to, look every day, because that familiarity is going to make you feel more comfortable. I promise you, just keep looking in there every day. Watch the numbers move, play around a little bit, and just being familiar with it will just make you more comfortable. So you do those steps and just kind of set it and forget it. You just look in there and watch your money go into the S&P 500. You will do well with that alone. And then do that until you get a full share. And if by then you haven't decided that you want to do something else, start on another full share. The shares of S&P 500 right now are about $500, a little bit less than that, $500 per share. But again, if you're in a brokerage house that has fractional shares, you can just chip away at that until you get a full share. Okay, now back to the S&P 500. My mom would call it the gorilla in the room. Like, we got the S&P 500 is named the S&P 500 because it has 500 companies in it. Instant diversification. And they're all massive companies, not just big, massive. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, JP Morgan, Tesla, Berkshire Hathaway, which is Warren Buffett's company. It's just all the biggest possible companies. Can't go wrong. So based on the data, this is how it's performed. So when you look every day, you will see it fluctuate. Like last time I checked, mine was down $7. So it will fluctuate. Don't panic. Practice looking and not panicking. That's another thing you need to develop. That's another muscle you need to develop for the stock market. Don't panic. Over the long term, though, it's going to work out. So over the past year, it's done 33% up. Over the past 5 years, 109% up. And over the life of the fund, 900%. Like that's just straight vertical. 900%. That feels vertical to me. That's a lot. So it's going to work out. Just put your money in there. This is the garden portfolio. Drop it in there. Forget about it. Drop it in there. Forget about it. Drop it in there. Forget about it. All right. So that's what I would suggest. And that is what I'm doing. I have turned Robinhood into my account for gardening. That's my garden portfolio. Literally the only asset I have in that portfolio is the S&P 500, ticker symbol SPY. That's it. And my intention is to add more money. And then at some point I will add another index fund. The S&P 500 is what's called an index fund, which means it's got a lot of companies in it. In this case, obviously 500. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. I just wanted to kind of summarize what we talked about this week. And what we really talked about this week was creating a garden portfolio, stable, rock steady portfolio where you can garden your money and it will grow. And in the process of doing that, you're going to learn. You might make a few mistakes too, but you're going to learn from those mistakes. So that's what I suggest, is create a garden portfolio, and that's the stable thing. Next week, I'll be talking about my second portfolio that I'm creating now, which has a different focus than this garden portfolio. And that's my intention, to have a different portfolio for each different focus that I think is important right now. All right. So all that said, do not forget your class materials. I hope you've been taking notes, because this is some really important, like I've been taking notes. Like this is some really groundbreaking stuff. So anyway, class materials. Make sure you get The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. It was written in 1910. Get that book. Also listen to my podcast, Get Rich 101. It is me reading the book, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, and then updating it a little bit here and there. You can do those two together. So those are both for mindset. Those will both help your mindset around money. And remember that Jim Rohn said, if someone gives you $1 million, you better become a millionaire quick. In other words, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about the mindset. Because if you're not a millionaire mentally, if someone gives you $1 million, you're going to blow it. So work on your mindset. Get The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, and check out my podcast. And the next book I'm suggesting is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Richard Kiyosaki. That's more in terms of knowledge, because I've got 3 areas I'm focusing on: mindset, knowledge, and action. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad is about knowledge. Okay. So there we go. I think that's it. Oh, so thanks for all the comments. I appreciate it. People have been saying stuff like, thanks for sharing your knowledge, and it's impactful information. And I'm surprised by all these comments, because I feel like I don't really know anything. But what occurred to me though, is I have this quirk where if someone tries to dupe me, I get very curious, which is an odd response. Most people don't do that, but I get very curious. So feeling duped by the financial system has made me intensely curious. And so I think that's what you're seeing. I feel like the game is afoot, right? I feel like I'm on the scent of something. And I think that's the energy and enthusiasm you're sensing from me as I chase down these answers. So anyway, I hope it continues to be helpful. Please let me know in the comments if it is. Also, drop your questions. Your questions are really helpful, because I never know the answers and I have to go find them and I learn something else. So stay tuned for prayer time coming up right now. And then stay tuned for Sit with Rev Melissa coming up at 10:30. Make sure to wish her a happy birthday, and I will see you Monday for the Be Your Own Hero show. Till then, keep doing, be a hero, be your own hero, and remember that now, right now, is better than perfect. All right, later.